Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Don Pod for a review of Fremantle Essendon. Another disappointing day in Perth for the red and black. I'm joined by Nathan. Hello, Nathan.
Hello, Sam. How are you?
Yeah. Well, it's morning after. This new
It's
way
emotional.
new way of recording the podcast. We do it a bit more fresh, so to speak. I've got my apple juice. I've had my coffee. Can't see it, but that's all right. And we'll take a semi deep dive. It was a pretty shit game of football, really.
It was a struggle to dissect it because I just thought so many facets of it went wrong.
Yep.
And maybe it's an eye opener, or maybe it's the post bye. I did hear the other day that only one team's won off the bye so far, and that was
a
Sydney.
team who played against another team off the bye. Yeah.
So
we're blaming that. Bye confirmed. Well, maybe the AFL should just do it so every team off the bye plays another team off the bye.
Oh, tell you what, I reckon they should do, just on a different topic altogether. How about we just have 2 weeks of the bye?
One.
Half the teams don't play 1 week, half the teams don't play the other week. Boom, it's done.
Even better. Just have one bye and go watch your local team play.
I reckon they'll be scared of that because they'll think the NRL will do something, or or somebody else will do something.
Do we really need to be scared?
What I don't get is, like, Thursday night we have a game on, Friday night we have a game on, but then we don't have anything on Saturday until 4:30.
Mm-hmm. And it was an absolute shit show.
Wasn't it a corker?
It's a close game. I don't know how the Swan supporters survived that
Jesus.
one. Anyway, we digress. Essendon 9-7-61 defeated by Fremantle 14-9-93, our second lowest score of the season, incidentally. No multiple goal scorers, singles only to Stringer, and that was a pretty good single, you might say. Parrish, Merritt, Menzies, Martin, Langford, Hobbs, Guelphy, Caldwell. That can have two lenses on it. Multiple goal scorers is great, but Pete hasn't gone goalless for 12 months, just about, so he had a bit of a dirty night. Merritt, 29 touches, McGrath, 27, Martin and Hobbs, 26. I'll reel off some more numbers for you and then we can get into it. Equal disposals, interestingly. Minus 10 inside 50s. This is becoming a real problem. We're averaging minus 5.5 and now minus 10 in this game. Minus 3 clearances. They were all centre clearances. We broke even on stoppage clearances, but they scored just under 9 goals to our 2 from those clearances.
Which is horrible.
Which is
horrible
horrendous.
Football.
And minus 11 tackles, which isn't great either. It was a very low number. It was in the 40s.
It's probably where the game was lost, really, is those clearances with what you're talking about, like that points difference.
Well, that's where we will start. And full disclosure, I did watch it, but I was out with family and kind of watching it and having conversations. So it wasn't like a solid sit at home on the couch and watch it. But
full disclosure, I was a little frustrated in the last quarter and I couldn't tell you how it ended.
That's all right. We're only human. I
was just frustrated. I was like, oh, God, I knew this was coming, but I still can't deal with it. Yeah,
I was really... Like yesterday afternoon, I started watching Ted Lasso, which if you haven't watched Ted Lasso, do it.
No one hasn't. So.
Okay. I'm late to the party, I admit that, but it's very good. I was just really like, I'm not looking forward to this. Carlton game I was up for. I was ready for it. But I just, very flat. What stood out to me, every time I looked up, seemingly, Freo would get a clearance, kick it 40 out, and they'd take an uncontested mark. It wasn't pack marks, it was uncontested. You can't defend that.
Our defenders decided that they'd take the back position a lot, I felt. Like they all thought, we'll just stand behind
5 metres difference between them. What are you doing?
I think keep going. No, you keep going.
It drove me insane. Every time they kicked a goal from a centre clearance, just about, it would be a hat kick that then their forward had separation on our defender and they would take an uncontested mark. That's not fucking good enough.
Yeah, look, I agree.
And like that.
And I want to just roll off the sort of 6 main sort of forwards. Josh Tracy, Sam Switkowski.
Yeah, Switkowski's okay.
Joe Amos.
Yes, Amos is quite good.
Lockie Schultz.
His name.
Yeah, I know, but I like to say Amos.
I know.
Lockie Schultz. And then we'll hit Luke Jackson. Very good player.
Very good. Definitely
Michael
benefited
Walters,
from having Sean Darcy back too, did Jackson.
Yep. Yep. And then probably, I don't know, Frederick or one of those sort of rolled through there as
Yeah,
well a bit.
Frederick was quite damaging.
But
I
they're
think
not like, my point is that none of them are like, Jackson's a good player, a very good player. None of the
Jackson.
other ones are superstars.
Well, Amos has been very consistent.
Amos has played maybe 15 games.
Yeah,
of
I
footy.
know, but he's still been consistent and he's still
Yep.
contributing to their.
I'm not saying that, but he's only played 15 games. Like, I still, and I will state this, there's a couple of our back six that I think are better at giving away free kicks and actually influencing the contest.
Well, in the past, when we've talked about our back six, because we do harp on a little bit, you are particularly frustrated by them. I tend to defend them in that we're undersized.
Yep.
Usually. That
Struggle on
BCT
this
has
one.
a shocker. So when we play Geelong and Tomahawk kick 7,
Yep.
there's
And
no
that's
one
fair
else.
enough.
There's no one else to play on Hawkins.
100%. I agree.
You've just got to roll with it and accept that we're short at all. It's on the jumper. I can't sit here and defend being 5 metres off your opponent from a centre clearance.
Yep.
It's not good enough.
Well, you have to be aware that that's probably the threat when the centre bounce happens. That's where
the
you should
only
be.
threat.
Yeah, that's where you should be playing in front of your man, because if the ball goes the other way, then you can just sort of stand next to him.
Then you can work it out. Yep.
If the ball's a contest on the wing, again, you should be ready for if I'm standing next to, I'd rather be in front of him a few meters than behind him a few meters, because the ball goes over the back and they take him up. Well, you go, well, that you can get burnt on that, but
you just shouldn't be able to get separation in 30, or not even that, within 15, 20 seconds of a centre clear and a centre bounce. Your opponent's got 5 metres on you. That's just not good enough. I didn't notice it being one particular person either.
No, I agree. I felt like Ridley took a few marks, but I'd have to look at the stats. Maybe you can have a comment. I don't feel like Laverde was influential at all. I thought Kelly. I don't think you can have a team where you've got Kelly, Heppel, and Laverde in it, because I think they're all just. And I thought Heppel played well. I'm not. This is not the blame on Heppel. This is the blame on selection. In that we need a running either D'Ambrosio or Hine. I'm not in love with Hine, but he at least brings a bit of pace out. Because once Freo worked out they were kicking it out of our back line, they went, all right, well, we'll match up to that. And then we're like, well, what do we do now?
What do we do?
We've got nothing.
So to back up your point, Ridley had 10 marks, which is standard Riddles. He averages 7.5. The next defender was Kelly with 6. And then it drops away to Laverde 4. Isaac Thatcher 4 as well.
Of those, that'd be just marks, because the 4 of those marks, 3 of those marks would be just when he's by himself and they're chipping around the back.
Yeah, 100%.
They're not intercept marks. They're not a lot. Like he frustrates me in that he gives away free kicks. I think it was a miss or one of the Tracy, I'm not sure, was about to take a mark and he just cannon into the body, into the back. And they get a free kick and the umpire's like, and he's like, what for? And I'm like, mate, that's as clear as day from way back here on the couch why that's a free kick.
Yeah. It is.
Laverde does that. When he gives away a free kick, he's like, what did I do?
Oh, and there was that one against... Was it against North? No, against North, I think, maybe. Or Carlton. No, it was Carlton, you're right.
Yeah, we charged into the guy who was about to mark it.
Absolutely front on him to straight to hell and got up and, I can't stand it. I think you're right in that there was no Mass and no Hind. Is that correct?
Yep. Correct.
So I know Kelly's been very good in the VFL, and what I hear, I haven't seen the VFL, but what I hear is he's far too good for VFL. He has a lot of input into the setup, the leadership in the back six.
Yep.
But you're right. When you've got your fastest player is McGrath and then Ridley.
And Ridley didn't.
And you're probably struggling.
Redmond was the one who didn't do a lot.
Sorry, Red Dog. You need that. You still need that small rebounding defender. And I don't think we've been critical of Hind in the past, but it's Hind or Mass. You really need one of them.
Yeah. I agree. And look, my argument would be probably to pick Mass because he's the younger, and I don't think there's that much difference quality-wise. Maybe Hind's slightly more experienced, therefore slightly better. But
both of them can kick goals. Like if you needed to throw that player forward, both of them
can
are
go
handy
forward.
As a forward, quick. I'd say Mass is better by foot.
Yep.
Which, given the style we play,
Hind's probably fractionally quicker.
To me, probably only if he's got the ball.
True, but I don't think. I don't think they're that much different. Like, I'm not talking about masses of difference in two players.
No, but one of them needs to be in the side, and that
one of them needs to be inside, and that's at the expense of, I think, Kelly. Because I think Heppel does a good job. I do.
Kelly and Heppel are kind of like the same position.
Yep.
You'd have one or the other.
Yep.
It's in the same way that Laverde came back in for Baldwin.
Yep. I'd personally go with Heppel. Personally,
absolutely. He uses the ball well. He had that little period, of course, but since then
doesn't. Heppel. But the problem I have with Kelly is that he does some things right, but he does some things really wrong, and he's really slow by foot decision. He's slow to make a decision on his kick. And there were a couple of times in the game where he had an option down the line, and he looked at it, didn't take it, and then that option closed, so he took another just down the line pack, which didn't work for most of the night.
Yep, never works. Well, on that sort of, in terms of selection and the decisions made throughout the game, Nick Bryan was an interesting one.
Very interesting.
So sixth late change in a row from Mr. Scott.
Seems to be a theme, doesn't it?
It's one we all saw coming, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And same against Carlton. We knew it was coming. And I'm sure if we know it's coming, the opposition knows it's coming. So you're not really gaining a whole lot. Yeah.
I reckon they planned for it.
Yep. What's interesting is Bryan was subbed off for Menzies in third quarter, sort of middle.
Yep.
Nick Bryan played 34% game time, Jai Menzies 35%. So for 2.5 quarters, Bryan played 34% game time, and the subs come on in a quarter and a half and played more.
Yeah. What's
the point?
You'd have to tell me.
What's the point? Just play me in the VFL. Such a low number. And for reference, next best was Hobbs with 71%.
Well, wow. The thing, again, the issue I had with this was that, okay, so we went in with Wiedemann, Wright, Bryant, and Phillips. That's I can deal with Draper because he's a very mobile, and I would argue Bryant's pretty mobile. Watching the game, I really think the kid's got talent. I do. But you either ask Wiedemann to ruck more, which I think is maybe what he needs to get him involved in the game, and say, look, you're going to have to ruck against Jackson.
That was the plan, really, though, didn't we?
Well, that's how I thought we got him.
Yeah.
He's not anyway. I would have liked to see him say, look, you're going to have to ruck against Jackson. It's going to be a tough challenge, mate. He's a good player. He's very mobile, but we need to save Nick Bryant for their big fella, Darcy.
But you can lose the ruck. You can lose the hit-outs and
of course you can.
Still not have it impact the game massively.
But you can't. One of our big problems with playing all these tools was that our forward line was slow, and a lot of their defenders, if you look at most of their possessions, came from their defensive six or and the wingers, because our forwards were just not hanging around. Because they're all tall, slow, lumbering bastards. They didn't chase after anyone or do anything useful.
Menzies was a weird sub in that respect as well.
He should be on the. He's not. I don't get that as a sub.
Yeah, he's harassing.
Yeah,
as a small forward, and to not have him, Hind, or Massimo in the team
is a mistake.
That was weird, yeah.
And what will be really telling is next week's selection, if they fix that, and I go, well, they clearly got that wrong. That's a cock up from them. Don't do it again.
Yeah, well,
just for the love of God, just drop fucking Phillips. Play Bryant. Bryant's the 23-year-old. Let's see what he can do for a whole game. Well, not bring in the 31-year-old guy who really's got a year left in him.
Yeah. This is my thought, my opinion on what we might do. I don't think we'll do it. It's one of those ones where I think it would be better, but I don't think we'll do it. So It's kind of pointless. But Draper really, if it's Draper rucking, we can play one ruck.
I agree.
Against Carlton, against Carlton, we brought in Phillips, I think it was late, because Draper was a bit injured. Bryan played last night probably because we don't want Phillips rucking alone.
Well, I guess because we looked at their matchups and
and went, holy shit.
Yeah, they got two big boys and one very, very mobile big boy. So
this is probably a good segue. My favourite thing.
Do you love a segue? I'm going to buy you one day, just so you can ride around on it.
different kind of segue, but yeah.
Maybe we should get sponsored by Segways.
Hell yeah. If anyone knows anyone at Segways, yeah.
Yeah, just give us a call.
Segway.
We're happy to wear a hat that says Segway on it.
100%. This podcast is proudly brought to you. Wiedemann. There's a conversation to be had about Wiedemann.
Yep.
And it's not dissimilar to the Danaher conversations we would have had 5 years ago if we did a podcast, in that when he's struggling to get into the game or have an impact on the game, chuck him into the ruck. We did that with Joe, and it was quite effective.
Yep. And even Brisbane do it now, and I still see it works pretty well.
Wiedemann's only 195, so he's not the tallest of ruckmen.
How tall's Jackson then in that category?
Oh, we can.
Sorry.
No, I can do that while I talk. That's okay.
Yep. I reckon he'd be 200.
Possibly. 2 meters. 2 meter Luke. Not quite the same ring to it.
2 meter Jackson.
I also did see anyone in TikTok land, probably on Instagram too. Peter Wright and his dog. Essendon put a little clip of Peter Wright, and it's the biggest dog you've ever seen. It's like a Great Dane or something.
Oh, really?
It's half the size of Pete, which for a dog, is quite large.
1 meter Peter.
That's what I was going to say. If his dog's name isn't 1 meter Peter, I'm going to be very disappointed. Massive bloody dog. Anyway, digress again. Wiedemann has been a bit on the nose for a few weeks.
I want to point out to go in 5 weeks, hasn't he?
Well, I want to point out that in Wright's first 7 games for Essendon, he went goalless 5 times and kicked 3 goals in the other 2 games. So let's lay off a little bit. But I still think having that opportunity to get him out of the forward line if the ball's not going down there, or if he's just having a shit night, chuck him in the ruck, get him on the ball, whatever.
Yep.
We can't do that now. When you're playing...
No, you can't.
When you're playing the 2 ruckmen and he's having a stinker, well, you just got to live with it. He did go back a little bit late when Zerk Thatcher went off. And I didn't see a lot of it, but apparently it was quite solid. So...
maybe there's an option.
Well, I mean, if Zerk Thatcher misses, I don't know who the friggin' hell...
Cox.
Well, yeah, I mean, for sheer
Must be
height.
Cox.
Yeah.
Is the VFL on today? Just a side note?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's not a bit of a mistake from us, really, isn't it?
What?
We're recording this before the VFL.
That's okay. We can put out a little shorts.
Oh, look at you.
You know us, because we're all about that.
He says that because I do all the editing and all the work. He can
here
just,
we go.
he can
People,
just demand...
don't start this again. We're like an old couple when it comes to this one, Sam.
He can just demand I do things, yeah.
You're young. What else are you doing with your life?
I've been watching Ted Lasso.
Okay.
The other thing I wanted to touch on, I think...
Well, hang on. Go back to Wiedemann.
Well,
so are you
Wiedemann,
saying that we just keep giving Wiedemann, we be patient?
Who else? Again, it's a little bit of the who replaces him, because we're not exactly...
Well, did you see Hunter?
Tools.
What happened to Hunter?
Yeah, well, he's out.
That's a bit disappointing, isn't it? We pick a guy who's got a broken back.
He's still quite young. It's okay.
No, but it's just crushing that, like every tall on our list. Like if you looked at the injury list, so Draper's 200 centimeters, Reed's 200 centimeters. Now Hunter's 100 and I'm guessing 96 or something like that.
I'm not Googling that one.
Yep. Just at a guess. Who else is injured at the moment? Jones is 198 centimeters odd. See, every 4 of our 196 plus players are injured at the moment.
Yep. So to that point, Wiedemann keeps his spot for one.
Yeah, Wiedemann keeps his spot.
But even still, I think you hold on to him, and if he can, I don't actually know how long Drapes is out for. To be honest, I assumed if he was close for this week, that it should only be he should be back next week.
I mean. Just say he doesn't play next week, which is acceptable. Like, if he's got an injury, I don't want to play him if he's not up to it. I don't want to see Phillips and Bryant out there again. Pick one, and look, I prefer Bryant, but pick one and go with that and say, you're rucking. And bring in a couple of smalls so we've at least got some pace around the ground. Because having all those tools, like Phillips is not a fucking mobile man. He is slow as ass.
2 of Hind, Menzies, Massimo have to come in.
Or if what I'd do is I'd probably drop Laverde and bring Cox in and say, well, you're going to get out muscled, but what you'll be able to do is stand a little bit off him and use those big long gadget arms.
Go gadgets, yeah.
Watch some footage of Dustin Fletcher when he was 18, mate, and you'll work it out from there.
Again, I feel like that's one of those things. I like it, but I don't see it happening.
I don't either. And I guess it's part of the Phillips, and this really annoyed me was the Phillips going off. I thought, he's 23. What's the point of holding the 31-year-old on? Like, Phillips is fit. He plays full games in the ruck, like in the VFL. He runs around in the ruck all day.
May have been protection, just given that Brian coming up against Sean Darcy, who's a solid individual.
But he was doing very well against him.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to ask you a question.
Go.
Around Mr. Perkins, Archie.
Yeah.
And just your thoughts.
He was really good last, Carlton game?
Mm-hmm.
Playing in the midfield. We talked about how well he played.
He seems to be very up and down, and I've said it a few times that he panics.
There's that meme. Sometimes I'm shit.
Sometimes maybe good. Sometimes maybe shit. Yeah. Who was that? Gattuso.
Yeah, they're like coaches or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's obviously a mock thing. They're not real, are they?
No, it's a real football manager. So
really,
yeah, he's he used to play for Milan. Yep.
All right.
And I think he managed Milan for a little bit. Sometimes maybe good. Sometimes maybe shit.
Yeah.
It's Essendon in a nutshell, I might add.
Well, is it partly because of the role? Like, he's playing that half forward, sort of top high, very high forward. I hate these expressions, these terms. High forward.
Well, I mean, it's accurate though. I think
he's not playing. He's not meant to kick goals because he's meant to be a long way up. He's meant to play on a wing almost.
Certainly, supporters in general, and this is just from what I see on Twitter. So obviously, it's not every single supporter. Sort of suggesting that he's not really come on the way we would have hoped this year. And I think that's harsh.
Well, I think that is harsh
because he's in his third season.
Yep.
He's played more football than obviously Reid and Cox put together times 10.
He's only missed maybe 5 games.
But I think he's a little bit victim, perhaps, that we're trying him in different roles a bit because he's been rolling through the midfield and he'd have high CBAs last week, against Carlton.
Yep.
And fairly low, I would have thought, last night. I didn't notice him in the guts too often, but then, Parrish is back, so
yeah,
it's probably a bit of a shuffle. So I think you will get the best out of your players if you play them in the same position every week. And that's what we've seen with Hobbs. Hobbs came into that side as a mid, started a bit meh, and has improved. As he gets more and more time in that middle, he's improved every week. I think Perko's, as you say, playing at high half forward, so he's a little bit in between both.
Yep.
I have issues with the panicking, but that can be coached out of him.
8 kicks, 8 handballs, 4 marks, and a tackle.
Yeah.
292 metres gained. Nothing that screams anything interesting.
3 clearances, I think that is, TC. Anyway, I just wanted your opinion because it's been a bit of a topic on...
I'm not worried. I do agree he's inconsistent, but as I said, though, the Carlton game, he was given a big job and he did it really well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that tells me he's a good player.
Yep. He shows enough in the...
But then you watch him in this game and he looked like he got touched by, if it was Young or I'm not sure who the defender was on him, or one of those ones had a field day. I felt like all 6 forwards would be hanging their head pretty low walking into that game because the defenders ripped them a new asshole. They just did as they pleased down the back.
It is worth noting, and I should have had this ready because it's quite relevant. The last time we played them was Easter last year. And we lost by 48 points and at home, and they absolutely shellacked us. Like it was...
How much we lose this by? 30.
Yeah, but we were out of that game very early. They absolutely belted us. So, not to be too positive or anything, but
I think the other part of that was how well we controlled the game for the first, 10 minutes, we'll call it. And then how we just could not ever get that back.
I think first quarter in particular, Darcy was everywhere. And he's a very good ruckman. And
hang on, which our Darcy or their Darcy?
No, Sean, their ruckman.
Because our Darcy was everywhere too.
Yeah, still, no, I'm not going to go there. Don't worry. He had one absolute shank of a kick, but
he does that.
Sean Darcy was everywhere. Let Luke Jackson be the predominant forward, who's a very good forward because he's 200 meters. Jesus, 200 centimeters, and just in a struggling.
That's how big his dog is.
100 meter, Peter. And it's deceiving because we were 5th on the ladder. They were like 13th.
Yep.
Possibly lower after the Sydney game. So, in isolation,
it's a bad loss.
But they were favourites.
Yeah, because we don't go well, and because as I've been saying, and I think you all might be coming around, is that we're way above where we expect, we
are so far
deserve
ahead
to be. Yeah,
but
which is good. There's positives that we're playing better.
I talk about the should wins and should losers, and we're in the positive. And the Freo game's probably still marginally a should lose, given that we weren't favourites and it's Perth and all that. So we're still on sort of track, and I still. Not to get ahead of myself, even.
You are going to not say something stupid now, are you, Sam?
Give us the tiniest little piece of hope against Port Adelaide at the MCG. We're going to talk more about that later, though.
Are they coming off a bye? Huh? Are they coming off the bye?
Yeah, because they haven't played this week, have they?
That's our only hope.
They'll break the trend for sure.
Oh, for sure, they'll be the first one.
They do have a bye. Interesting.
I want
to just touch briefly on turnovers as well. First half in particular, we turned the ball over on half back like 4 times. It led directly to goals.
Yep.
For them, there's not a lot to be said.
Horrible fuck.
But when you combine those centre clearances where they're taking uncontested marks and they converted, and then you chuck in 3 or 4 goals from turnovers.
Yep.
Shit turnovers, not even just contested kicks. They were uncontested kicks that just went astray.
Missed. Yep.
You're not going to win many games of football.
Nope.
And it's frustrating on one part that we still are inconsistent. We don't have a lot of those turnovers, but then when we do, it's like 7 of them. Yeah.
And I guess this is part of that issue of the style of kicking in the back half. If we're going to play that game, it does open him up.
Yep.
Whereas occasionally having someone to run it, like a Hind or Massimo or even a Redmond, is it those turnovers? Obviously, you can't turn the ball over when you're running, you know.
That's right. Unless you get tackled. But if you're Hind and you've got the footy,
you run your fastest. Unless you don't have the footy, you can't catch.
He'll fall over on the wing and get tackled, but never mind that.
Yeah, I don't know. You've got to be better defensively set up if you're going to play that game and fuck it up.
I don't know if this is a good or bad thing in terms of our future and the team in general. We shoot ourselves in the foot more so than we get outplayed.
Ooh, I think we get outplayed a lot.
Yeah, but we shoot ourselves in the foot.
I think that you've got to take the kicks on into the midfield. I do think that you've got to take those kicks on to be aggressive, but what I liked, and you cast your mind to 3-4 months ago against Hawthorn in round 1. And yes, it was only Hawthorn. This will stretch me.
Air commas. We ran and handballed. And it was beautiful to watch. And then we found the kick.
Yep.
That
we didn't.
Hasn't really happened. And
we didn't do that in this game.
Well, when you're not playing Hind or Massimo, I like how I'm just on a first name basis with Mass now, by the way.
Yep. Well, the Ambrosio's a long one.
Yeah. There's no pace, there's no speed to do that.
There's no ability to break the lines either because the defensive team, the team can set up defensively up the other end, and we're often stuck kicking to a contest that we're losing.
It's Kelly and Heppel.
Whereas when you run and carry, as you're saying, that you can then get over the back of that line and have
get the
players out the back or one-on-ones or something.
Even if it's a sideways kick, just ball moving. Ball in motion is good. And if you can get it outside 50 and then take on that kick, at least if you turn it over, it's 80 metres away from goal.
Yep.
You give yourself a chance to defend. Where we turned the ball over, was 60 metres out from goal.
Yep.
And they were one kick and that goal. Yep. And they stuffed up a couple. It could have been so much worse.
Yep.
So...
And I think as observers of the game, you and I, we get caught between this conversation of game structure or style, which is probably harder for us to, because
we're nuffies.
And one-on-one actual ability of players. And talking about Laverde versus his man or, Wiedemann versus his man. And I think that there's a bit of both in that I don't think our game style structure sort of thing is good enough yet, but it's certainly better than it was. And I still think we've got, like, I know Essendon supporters think we've got the best players in every position, but we are still some ordinary players floating through who running on names like, and I'm going to call him Laverde is not top. He's not best 22. He shouldn't be best 22. He's not good enough to be playing there.
Well,
and I think we're short a couple of quality smalls, which Menzies is almost it, but he's no good if he's on the bench for the fucking game. Like,
I was harsh on him, like very, very, very critical of him after like Anzac Day where he had chances. But
he had
the last month,
yep,
he's been kicking goals, he's been making tackles, and then you chuck him on the sub bench.
And he's been pressure. It's been pressure. It's that forward pressure. He's chasing. He's got up the ground. He's he's done some things in the back half. And then we put him on the bench.
It's almost...
And we bring on basically Phillips and say, well, you can do that job.
Yeah.
Or
Don't
you'll
tell
just run
anyone.
around. And he clunked a couple of marks, Phillips. I thought he was good, but it's a totally different structure then. And the same was happening down the back with no running carry because Kelly doesn't do that. Heppel's not, he doesn't do it. Laverde just trying to give away free kicks for the rest of his life. And poor old Zerk Thatcher's just praying to God that someone big doesn't go near him.
Yeah. You're allowed to be slow. You're allowed to be Heppel, and you're allowed to then go, right, well, that's not my strength. But
Pendlebury's not the fastest player in the world, but he can get away with it.
This is my strength. When you've got two of them in your back line and no speed, that's when it starts to go, that's a bit shit. Honestly, and don't tell anyone I said this, it was almost like we were tanking.
Ooh.
There's some real questionable structural decisions that you just go, we had no leg speed. Back or forward.
It kind of come as a surprise to them. Because last week they didn't play Kelly and they play Hind. And that was, not last week, the week before. That was one of our good things. Now, you know what Kelly brings. There's no surprise that Kelly, is he a good defender? Like the guy...
I had no idea who he was when he got, the whole...
He had 2 or 3 goals kicked on him, I reckon, easily. Like I saw that were direct opponents taking a mark against him.
Again, if there was no Heppel and we had a bit of leg speed, his role is okay. But it just became so slow and so shite.
Yep.
Anyway, I had about 100 things.
Yeah, I think what I'm sort of frustrated by is to carry this thought through is that we seem to be our midfielders. So if you can't get a game in the midfield, you seem to be playing half forward. Like we'll say Perkins, for example. Mm-hmm. Would it hurt for Perkins to play at half back? I know you talk about keeping a player in a position.
Well, there's a little bit of conversation there about consistency.
Yep.
Your point is valid, but I think it's case by case. So, Perko, no.
Yep, fair enough.
In 5 years' time, he's going to be a mid-half forward, goal-kicking mid, essentially. That's what we probably want out of him. So, no. You're robbing Peter to pay Paul. You might as well just keep him where he is.
I will give you an example of a guy at Collingwood who's played a year and a half as a half-back player. Very creative, doesn't have to tackle or do anything hardball gets. And because of his good use of the footy and his speed, he hurts teams.
Who?
A guy at Collingwood. His father was pretty good.
Oh, you're talking about Dacos. I thought you were going down a different path there.
Now, he's going to be a genuine 100% midfielder. Genuine 100% midfielder when he becomes a full-grown AFL man. But they're saying, no, that creativeness is really useful off our half-back line. Well, I'm just thinking, how about then one of these guys, and it's not Hobbs because I think he's a bit on the slow, leggy speed side, then why doesn't Perkins go down and say, look, fuck Kelly off. Perkins, you can take someone. We'll try not to give you the best damn forward going around because that sucks. But we want you to be a little bit creative. I'm just like, Sheedy, what I loved about Sheedy, I hate going back to this and I hate doing that, is that he would often throw the game around and you'd see results or you wouldn't, but you'd learn something. Mm-hmm. Like we won a premiership basically when he sent a fullback down to centre, half forward, and he kicked 4 goals in the second half and we won a game. Like that's what you can do sometimes. And I will also point out Scott Lucas, one of your favourite players.
Yes. My favourite love.
All-Australian centre-half forward, who they said, actually, we need you down to centre-half back, and was an All-Australian centre-half back. So I'm just saying, maybe it's time to look at the box and think it's upside down.
Throw the magnets around. Look, the point you make on Dacos is quite valid.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know. First time.
Who would have
First time for everything. You've made a good point. Yeah, I would leave it there. I don't know.
Well, I'm not saying it has to be Perkins, but maybe we're just looking at the game because I guess what I'm sort of saying is that we seem to have a lot of half-forward midfielders, and we're talking about where's Hobbs? And we're talking about Perkins is struggling a bit because he's not getting enough. Maybe we should just stop and say, hey, let's pull back. Let's
and you're right.
The magnets around.
You're right for the second time in a minute.
I'm definitely out.
Yeah, they're mid-half forwards, right? But they're mids who can't get into the midfield, so they play half forward. Not actually mid-half forwards.
No, they were just because we don't want to take out Parrish.
We've got to fit in like 17 midfielders because that's seemingly all the good players that we've actually got.
Yeah, and if you're a good mid, you just have to go forward. Why can't they go back?
Yeah, perfectly good point. If Brad Scott's listening, which I'm sure he will be on the flight back home.
He'd want to listen to something good on the flight home because his players won't be saying anything useful.
No. Yeah, it's a good point you make. I think particularly... not particularly. Where we are now, which I think we're still fifth, we might have dropped back under percentage on St Kilda. I'm not sure.
I'll have a squeezy on that one. Sixth.
While that's still a conversation that we're having, while we're still considering finals, you probably don't want to throw magnets around too much. If we get to round 18, 19 and we're ninth and we're a game out, then you go, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Let's try some shit. But the other side of that, I can sort of read your mind there.
Yeah, thank you.
What you just said about Sheedy, it might actually help us. We might learn something. So then in 2024, we're ahead of the game because we tried some shit. And I'm still firmly in the ballpark of I don't really want to make finals.
Yep.
I don't think we're in a winning position. And if we make another final and lose another final, it's just not going to be worth it.
Yep. And I agree. And it's not about this year. It's whatever happens this year, it doesn't matter. Like win, lose a final, make go. They're all pointless things. They're just...
We're not winning a play.
It's all about winning a damn premiership. And that's not happening this year. That's a guarantee. Correct. So you got to start to do things that make you get towards that premiership. And this is part of my reason why Bryant should stay on and Phillips should go off, because Phillips is not playing in a premiership. I'd nearly put money on that. I feel comfortable enough saying that. Yeah. Whereas Bryant possibly might. Who knows?
Yeah, just at Geelong.
Pretty sure other clubs will be coming for him if we don't do something special with him.
I'm frustrated, and I know you're big on your ruckman. I'm not so big on ruckman.
Yeah, that's fair enough. You're big on your key forwards.
My forwards and defenders. Defence wins your premierships. At the moment, and I fully acknowledge that it's because he's young, he's far too good for VFL.
He seems to dominate VFL.
And whether it's through lack of opportunity in that he gets subbed after 30% game time or other factors, I don't like him in the VFL. I don't find a lot of what I've seen to be great.
Fair enough.
But I also respect the need to just sometimes you got to play him.
Yep.
And that's what we talked about with Jones.
Yep.
At the start of the season, you just got to play him.
Yeah.
So
I think if his body's fine, like if the reason they put 35% on him is because he's got a niggling back injury or hamstring tightness or something like that,
love of God look after him.
Yeah. But if his body's fine, which if I went back to his last VFL game, game time would have been 90%.
He dominates VFL.
So, and other clubs will come for him because there's not. I still think when I watch him, there was a little moment where he got a quick handball away. He took a kick on that just missed the boundary line. Like he made a mistake too. Like he made a couple of blues, but
that's okay.
That's okay. But you watch it's little bits you're always looking for. He goes, oh yeah, if he can do that a bit more, then that's a good sign.
Which is, and you talk about the little bits. That's what I'm hanging a lot of hopes on Cox.
Yeah.
There were some moments. There was that game at the start of 2021, it might have been now,
it was a long time ago,
where we flogged St Kilda.
Yep.
When we didn't really expect to win. We smacked them.
Yep.
And he got the ball sort of wing half forward and he went to kick it, pulled it back. St Kilda went whoop across him. And then he hit the target lace out. I mean, oh, Jesus.
And we all went 200 centimetres.
Yeah. Did you know he's still, yeah. It's a bit of a joke. He's still growing. Oh, that was Reed. It was still growing. Never mind. So yeah, it's you're right. It's the little moments that you hang your hat on.
And we've seen it with Perkins too. Like if we go back to our Perkins, like we've seen him shake his ass and roll off a tackle and then kick a goal, and we go, woof.
Perko's very good in front of goal, my concern is when he gets the ball in the middle and we're streaming forward, he tends to just panic kick. Or make the wrong decision. That's my issue. And again,
should
I know
Perkins
it's
be
not
playing as a deep forward, not a high forward or low forward? Is it a low forward if it's into high forward? Shouldn't it be a low forward if you're a high forward? Can you be a deep forward and a high forward?
You're not a shallow forward. Well, you can be a shallow forward actually. asking the big questions on the Dod Pod.
Forward pocket or half forward?
Yeah, deep and high. I think works.
But that's not the opposite. Deep and high.
No, I fully support.
Deep and low, isn't it?
Deep and shallow.
Ask the people in the submarine.
May they rest in peace. Yeah. I don't. We can talk about that for a second.
Yep.
Obviously, big news. I love and simultaneously don't love the jokes. Like TikTok's just been going mental with and they're hilarious. But then you just get someone died, 5 of them. Yeah. But we $250,000 a ticket.
No, that's American. 385 Australian. Nearly $400,000 Australian.
In what seemingly was a makeshift submarine controlled by a Logitech controller. Which, by the way, I can't wait for the warning labels on the Logitech controllers.
Do not use
on submarines. Must be used above sea level.
And I saw a photo where the monitor was screwed into the inside of the sub. I'm like,
yeah. Anyway, awful thing to happen. But
did you know? And this is a true fact. One of the guys that was in has the record for being at the lowest or deepest in the ocean for the longest. He actually held that record before this incident.
It's even longer.
And I'm thinking, no one's touching him now.
No. I love it. And you'd appreciate this. Good data. I know you like good data. It was a little graph, and it was like deaths of the Titanic along the bottom, and then... deaths and then time period along the bottom. And it was like 19, whatever it was, 15 is a massive spike, flat line. And then 2023 is a little boop.
So it was 15,000 died in 1912, what it was, and then
15,000, yeah. But
1,500, sorry.
Yeah. And then 5.
Big boat.
Yeah. It's not funny, though. It's not.
It's kind of funny. It didn't happen to us, so it's kind of funny.
Anyway, we'll move on from that. I want to get your votes first of all, please. Similar but different this week, so you go first.
Rusty again for the 3.
Yes,
must get him into my fantasy team. He's had another 100 and something. He's absolutely on fire. I think he's averaging 110.
Just comment on Rusty actually.
Yep.
Man, I just can't wrap my head around it. He made a few blues last night, to be fair, but when he goes near the ball, he picks it up so cleanly. He turns so beautifully, and I just can't believe we got him where we got him and how we got him. And
I did hear the commentator say last night that he was meant to be a top 20 pick in his draft year, but then he hurt himself, or there was an injury.
Yeah, okay.
Then he went back to the
players get picked up like that.
Interesting. So then he went back to the waffle, the whiffle, and couldn't get it. Trained with West Coast, but couldn't get a game with them, and then we picked him. It's a fascinating story, and he seriously will get an All Australian. Maybe not this year.
Right now, he's in the 40.
Yeah,
for sure.
I would agree. He's a 40 on the wing. Like his form in the last 6 weeks has been as good as anyone.
Maybe not.
So anyway, he got the 3.
Same.
What if we'll talk about the next one? 2 was Hoblet. The Hoblet
just continues to improve and impress and play a solid game.
I think he's had his highest possession game.
He had 26 and a goal. Very good game.
Yeah, very good game. And number 1 to the
Riddler.
10 marks. Look, out of a bad batch of defenders, he is the
10
one. 10
marks, 23 disposals.
Yeah. Probably a few of those kickings. Him and McGrath. McGrath made mistakes, but you'd question the rest of that back 6 at the moment. I really would. Even Redmond. I mean, I'm not overly... If he wants to go to Adelaide...
No, don't be like that. That's reactive. We're not reactive here on the Don Pod. Yes, we are, but don't. Mine are similar. Martin and Hobbs 3 and 2, but I did throw Merritt in there again. High 20s, couple 4 tackles, which was equal team high, a goal. Just keeps getting the job done in the sense of his game, but we didn't win, so it's done. I want to talk to you. There's no VFL wrap, so
there's no one else to talk to.
Good point. We need to touch on next week briefly, and again, we'll try and do this after the VFL going forward, just so there's a bit more meat in the conversation. Port Adelaide at the MCG, Saturday night, home game. Get down there. I know you laugh at me when I say it, but I do give us a bit of a chance just in the open air of the MCG. Need I remind you, Anzac Day, Collingwood are the best team in the comp, close to Port Adelaide. We were 5 goals up and should have beaten them. We do play our better footy at the MCG. If it was at Marvel, 100% write-off for me. But the fact it's at the G just gives me that little bit of hope, and I have to think that because I'm going, and what's the point if I don't believe that? Just a little bit.
Well, here's something interesting.
Mm.
I just had a quick look at the VFL lineup, and I've got Nick Bryant as ruckman.
He's not playing.
So have they played him like you're talking about with 30 or 40% game time? So
he's not playing because they wouldn't be getting back to Melbourne until.
Well, he's listed there, and I was trying because when you think, I think who will ruck for us in that VFL game? But they've got him named there.
Yeah, he won't play.
Interesting to see.
What are your thoughts? Because I know you don't think we'll win.
Look, I don't think we'll win. I think Port Adelaide, the guys like
off the bike.
Okay. So we look at how well Freo's midfielders are like Brayshaw, probably not so wrong, but Brayshaw and the other guy were quite good against us. I think with Rosie, Butters, and probably Horn Francis and
Horn Francis scares me actually.
I think they will dominate. Parrish will be a bit better for I thought he was really good in that first 20 minutes, but then faded away. But that's what happens when you're 5-6 weeks off footy. And he's kicking, he made mistakes, but not expecting that to ever change. But that's not it. Sometimes he does it well, sometimes he doesn't. But I'm really concerned about how if they scored 53, if Freo scored 53 or whatever points from clearances, I reckon Port will score 80 points from clearances against us.
That's excessive.
Wow. Their midfield and them going forward. Like, okay, so the forwards are going to be, because they've got the big forwards down there at Freo. We struggle against them. One.
Did you mean Port?
Port, yeah. Mm-hmm. Sorry, yes. Port. So what's his name? Big
Dixon.
Dixon.
Dixon, honestly, has more swagger than talent.
Yeah. But he's still going to... So Zerk
he still scares me,
if
for sure.
Zerk Thatcher plays... So if Dirk Thatcher doesn't play, are they going to put Laverde on him? And Laverde will give away 5 free kicks for the game.
Is this the first time we've played a team
above us?
No. So that we've played already this season?
Yes, I would guess. That's
so we should probably do a last time out. So last time out.
Let's go.
Essendon 13-9-87 defeated by the Port Adelaide Power 12-20-92. And doesn't seem that long ago. It wasn't
that long ago. Round
7th of May. 7th of May. So not even 2 months. Which is bizarre scheduling. Anyway, given we haven't played Bulldogs at all. And I'm sure there's other teams we haven't played.
Why the scheduling of this stupid?
What I remember from that day being very frustrated because they did kick 12 goals 20. But the issue we had was getting the ball from the kick in out. Just anywhere. Obviously, no Peter Wright at that point. Draper and Phillips, that was the week after I think we'd beaten Melbourne, so we were big on the Draper-Phillips train. Parrish did play that game and had 37 possessions. Shield played, so that might be a change. Setterfield played, he won't be back. Waller played, doubt whether he'll be back. Davey Jr. played. That's it. So there's a couple of changes since that point. Port are obviously in a much, much better position and team now.
Yep.
I don't know. I just have a feeling.
So Finlayson, I think when we look at their players, it's going to be Finlayson, Dixon, and there's another tall guy, who Giannopoulos? No, he's like sort of a Greeky sort of Italian.
Georgiadis is not playing. He's out for the season.
Oh, is he? Oh, that's good. So
it's not good. It's not.
Well, it's good for us. Sorry. Yeah. Apologies to Georgiadis and his family.
If you
We're talking about us
And
at the
his
moment.
family. That was such a needless addition.
I just think, it's going to be a bit like the Geelong game. I reckon they'll jump us at the start. They'll get about 8 goals on us, and we'll just sort of puddle on for the rest of the game.
Okay, can I have a tip, please?
Essendon by 4 points.
I knew it. I knew it was coming, and I'm still surprised.
Oh, I tip us every week. In our work tipping, I had 2 on everyone, and I thought I should really just change that to Freo because I know they're going to win. But no, I stuck with Essendon.
Loser.
Hey, where are you on the ladder at the moment in the work tipping, Sam? Just roughly.
Well, I'm about 16th.
How many are in the competition?
108. 20. I'm notoriously a terrible tipper, and for someone who likes to think they know a lot about football, I freaking suck at tipping. I'm happy to cop that on all 3 of my chins. All right, I'll say Essendon by 3 points. There you go. But
both of us wrong.
I think you make valid points. I just have a feeling. We talked about it before the Carlton game that our back six are very inconsistent and that they were due for a good game because they go up and down. So we had the good game against Carlton. We've had the bad back six game now against Freo.
This is how we work.
We're due.
A bad game.
We're due now for the good back six game against Port. That's how it works. Science. Right. I want to talk to you about something that wasn't necessarily game related.
Okay, love it.
But has been a hot topic all week that I think is remiss of us not to mention.
Go.
The Essendon Football Club branding refresh.
Oh, God, really?
And I want to start by acknowledging that Barham's press release said we will always be the Bombers. We're not.
Did anyone read that, though?
No.
Because that's half of the debate is about fucking things that have got nothing to do with what we're doing.
Yep. So I'll give my opinion because I'm quite strong on this.
Yep.
One, the wording was brand refresh, I think. That's okay. Go back and look at Richmond's old logo versus Richmond's new logo. Right?
Yep. Shit
logo before. Nice, sleek logo. Now they won 3 flags with it. It's quite good. Hawthorn did the same. Collingwood, although Collingwood's old logo was quite good, but all these clubs have done it. It's a perfectly normal process that a football club should go through once every maybe 5 or 10 years. Not necessarily change your logo every 5 years, but just to look at your brand and what you want to, how you want to come across. 2, I'm not surprised that the term the Bombers might come under some sort of scrutiny. I can see how that might happen. You can whinge about the Wake Brigade and all that all you want. I can see where it might come from. We can still call it the Bombers, whether the club go down that route and push it, whatever, that's beside the point.
Yep.
But 3, our logo sucks.
It does.
I'm sorry. The literal first line in our song is "See the Bombers fly up," yet our logo is quite literally a plane flying down. Shit brand. Change it immediately. We saw some good ones around the traps, which I'm sure everyone's seen by now. There was a nice little plane flying towards you that was on TikTok. There was one off Reddit that had like a tick through a plane flying up. Wasn't a fan of the tick part of it, but the red sash going through it was really nice. Just let it happen, people.
Yep.
There's a really good quote or story about Mick Malthouse going from Collingwood to Carlton. Collingwood looked through a massive windscreen. They're looking forward. Carlton looked through a giant rearview mirror. And we're no different. So much of our supporter base, at least that I see on Twitter and whatever, we're so stuck in the early 2000s when we used to be good. I don't remember that part of football. So just get over it. You go. I'm getting mad.
Well, no, it's good. Look, a part of me, it's frustrating because, for one, we weren't always the Bombers.
Weren't we?
No.
Interesting.
We were the same olds.
Mm-hmm.
And at another stage, I reckon we had another name. Like, there was like the difference. But we haven't always been. I think the Bombers came in the Second World War in the 40s. We started to be called to support support
the troops.
Yeah, support the troops. So before that, and people can probably know a lot more about the history of Essendon than me, but I know that.
Oh, you were around at that time, weren't you?
Hey, back it down. Secondly, our logo is crap. That grey fucking bomber.
Yes. Oh, the grey. Yes, of course.
The grey shits me. We're not grey.
No.
Where's the fucking grey? I'm grey. We're red and black.
I like that. I'm grey.
Look at me.
Maybe that's why they did it. Maybe that's why there's grey on the logo.
To
honour you.
By the way, people that are listening to this
now,
I'm stroking my beard, which is grey, into a point to make it look like a plane.
We do need to get better at this. We do a lot of visual gags, and I forget that people don't necessarily watch.
Do we do gags? I don't know if they're gags.
Well, we do visual
things.
We do visuals.
Yep.
We forget people don't necessarily listen on.
So on that, I don't have a problem with them reviewing how we look and the style and things. I think our logo looks a bit outdated, personally. Yeah.
And again,
some of those things you showed me with the other bomber planes in red and black, I was like, well, that's better.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Look at Richmond's old logo versus Richmond's new logo. It's just polar. And you associate, this is another factor of it, you associate that old Richmond logo with a shit Richmond Football Club. You associate the new Richmond logo with a very successful, powerful football club.
Yeah, yep.
We've had a bit of shit go on with this logo.
Yeah,
There's an opportunity to move away, and it won't happen straight away. It happens in time, and particularly with premierships.
Yep.
But Jesus Christ.
And as you said, the last line from the president says, "We will always be the Bombers,"
which is interesting, because if we're going to go down the woke path, that's far more of an issue than the logo and the brand. But anyway, can I ask you then a hypothetical?
Yep, love it.
Again, while acknowledging that we will always be the Bombers. Alternatives. Just
Jets.
Out of interest. The Dons.
Jets.
Yes, the Jets. I like the link to aviation. Obviously, I'm a bit of a nerd for all that anyway.
Yep.
But Essendon and Essendon Airport.
Jets.
Now we're at Tullamarine with the airport there, right there, obviously. Yep. And also Anzac Day, wartime.
Yep.
You know, there's some serious links to aviation, but Bombers isn't the only sort of nickname that you could have. And again, at the time, it'll be a bit weird if we went down that path. But in 10 years' time, once you all kind of get used to it and generations grow up with it, and as you said, we weren't always even the Bombers. So,
yeah, well, I think we might have been called the Sashes or something like that. I reckon there was a time where we had something
I'm glad we moved away from that.
Yeah, there's something silly about Sashes, which is...
But the Dons, we get the Dons quite a bit. The official hashtag from the club is Go Dons.
Yep.
Essendon, like, you know, it makes sense.
And I loved it when we were sponsored by Don Small Goods.
We need to bring that back.
It's Don, it's good.
Don is good. Well, I did like that it was on the shorts too.
It's Don is good.
The small goods.
Don's
It's kind of funny. Anyway, I get frustrated by the outcry.
I think it's one of those prime examples is when the media go, well, let's do something about Essendon because they've got a big supporter base. We're going to get clicks. We're going to get, people reading articles, and then they're going to shout back at us, and then we're going to get, we create a topic, and then we'll talk about it on Fox Footy, and then we'll finish the cycle.
And that's the other thing too, yes, is that it's been in the works for like 6 months. This isn't a new thing from the club's perspective. So
it's just about them getting a click and a chat. And I really do not rarely ever respond to these things. And when people going, I just let them go because I know this is exactly what they want. They're looking for that Twitter or whatever world where they can see, we've had this much interest from this topic.
It does get frustrating. I got rid of Twitter a couple of years ago because I just couldn't stand.
Yeah.
And it is just opinions.
I want to get rid of it at the moment because it's full of fucking ads.
That's quite short or narrow-minded of me because it's people's opinions and you're allowed to have opinions. But Jesus Christ, we are stuck in the past, and I just...
Well, don't have your opinions on what the article says. Have your opinion on what the club says.
And we'll rely on the club. We should have learnt that through the saga.
Yep, because the article was like, Essendon are looking to change.
And knobheads like Matthew Lloyd don't help when they come out and criticise and add fuel to the fire by saying we were going to change our nickname when that wasn't even actually mentioned to that point.
And look, he might have heard that from someone. That's how internally he would have heard rumours and gossip too.
I can't stand Lloyd.
Just like small towns, when you hear rumours and gossips, it's not always the right information.
You'd know.
No, I know.
You start them half the time.
Story about the butcher, I could tell you.
Oof. Yeah, I got one about the hairdresser.
Yeah. So I think it's a bit of a what's that? A needle
Storm in a teacup.
Storm in a teacup. Teacup.
Honestly, as supporters, we're allowed to have opinions and thoughts and whatever, but just let the club do it. They've got people who are qualified and know what they're doing in terms of brands and marketing, and I do believe we shouldn't have too much control over what happens in the club, so they shouldn't have to rely on the members to decide everything for them.
No. Well, we've got to have trust. I mean, if they're doing, and I think that the people, the administrators and the people in charge have a very good understanding. They're Essendon people too. Like and they have a very strong understanding of what our history is about and how, like we've had the sash forever. That's never ever going to change. Our colours have been red and black forever.
Yeah.
Hey?
Yeah. Well, the sash is in the
Constitution.
Constitution, yeah, good word. That's the word.
Yeah. So there's things like that. So if changing the logo, which we've changed, several times, like in the 80s, it was. I love the old 80s one. The bomber with the little pointy nose.
How's that rearview mirror?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying though. I love that one. I don't love this one. If they make another one, then I might like that one. That's just the evolution of the change. That's fine. The sash is always there. We're always red and black.
And without going into too much detail here, please, we do have jobs where we experience this a little bit, where people aren't necessarily left to make the decisions that they're qualified to make.
It's a valid point.
So yeah, just let them make
leaving
the
engineering decisions to engineers.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah. Yep.
They're the smart people. We're nuffies. And
we don't see the full picture.
You can have.
We don't know all the information. It's a bit like team selection. Like you and I sit here and bitch about team selection, like we have done in this podcast, but we don't know the full.
We don't know what's going on.
Who's injured, who's not playing, who's going through emotional things, who's dealing with all this other stuff. So they're going, well, we have to pick them. We're picking them and all that sort of stuff. And we just go, oh shit, why'd they do that?
But that's kind of the important thing, is that we'll sit here and talk about it.
Yep.
But there's no expectation that anything changes because of it. The whole stuff with the logo is that, and that people genuinely don't want the club to do anything about it.
No, I think though, back to that selection one, I'm fascinated about what ins and outs will be for next game. Because I'd be hard pressed to think that they've walked away from that game and thought we got that right. We just didn't play the way we want.
Well, we'll end on that because we're at time.
Looping the
fuck back around. I need to just do a quick little bit of research if I can fill for 3 seconds.
I can fill.
Do we know? I'm done. Do we know how long Draper's out for? Was there an official? Because he would have been test on last week's injury report.
It's one of the things, actually. Here's just a sidebar.
Is this Geelong? Are you going to tell me about Geelong?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that what you're going to do?
No, but go ahead, please.
There's this guy I follow on Twitter who, for the last 8 weeks, has been bagging out Geelong, saying, "Hey, AFL, when are we going to get accurate injury reports?" Because part of it's with fantasy football. It's also very annoying from a fantasy football perspective, because Geelong just put mid-term, long-term, short-term. They don't even put weeks. Like, they don't even give a shit. So the AFL, I think, have made a statement that they're going to say, no, clubs now must, on their Thursday nights, must have a best guess sort of how long they're going to be out for. Which is good.
I like that from Geelong, though. It's funny. Like,
they don't care.
Short term.
He'll be back when we want.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I don't mind that.
Team, just trade him. Yeah. Just don't bring in Geelong players.
I don't mind the approach. It's kind of funny.
Yep.
We'll assume Draper's fit. So I'm going to start off with Draper in, and it will be Brian out, no matter how much you don't want that to happen.
Yeah, I know. I'd say both of them out for him.
Well, yeah. Port Adelaide's ruck isn't. It's still Teagle, is it?
Yep, go. Well, Port Adelaide aren't a great rucking team, yes. No. That's going to be an advantage. But Finlayson was very good against us in that game from memory, because he
played 2 rucks.
Yeah, he played a very mobile ruck. So this is when you could have Wiedemann go against Finlayson.
And now we've got Pete back. That's definitely possible.
Wiedemann, you're going to have to do a job on him. You're going to, every time he comes in, you're running around with him, chasing his ass. And if you can get forward kick a goal while he's chasing around with you, that'd be great.
Right, yeah. Hind or Massimo has to come back in. We touched on that. And I think Menzies comes back into the starting lineup.
I agree with all them. The other one I will throw in there is Cox. Coxic.
2 meters tall, is he?
Oh, he's 2 meters tall. I would like to, and this will not happen, but I don't care. I would like him in for Laverde, because I'm just over that fucking Spud.
Oh, yeah.
Big call.
Big call. Harsh call. I don't think he's very good. I think if Jade Laverde was depth for our back 6, I think we're in a good spot.
Yep.
So I'm not going to call him a Spud. That's a bit harsh.
Okay, fair enough. I'll take it back. He's a bit of a potato.
You said it now. I'm going to cut that bit out when you take it back.
Oh, that's fair enough. No, he's a Spud. I think there needs to be. I think the back 6 needs some changes. It's very rare. Like what we talk about is Kelly out, Massimo in. That's all. That all seems to be the only change we ever think. And I'm thinking, well, I would like to see some other wholesale changes down there because that back six is not an award-winning back six. It's Ridley, it's McGrath, it's half a Redmond some days and half a Redmond not other days. And then the other three are a bit shit.
And there is options down there. We do still got Baldwin.
Yep, Baldwin's better.
Cox has played at least one game on the half-back line in VFL, which is why I don't think he'll come in, as you said.
I agree, but I just want some fucking height down there. I want someone who can roll across a pack and stick a fist up and get rid of the ball. There was an incident in the game last night where somebody had a shot. That one of the Freo players had a shot, and the Essendon player, I think it was Kelly, about 2 meters out, went to punch it, missed the ball. It sort of came off his shoulder or his head, and it went out of bounds. So they had a throw in, and then they scored from it. And I'm like, fuck me, mate. All you had to do was punch it over the point and that we get the ball back. But no, you fucked that up.
I've been harping on that for years. Just do the simple shit well, and you will actually be a much better football team, which, to be fair, this year we have done the simple shit a lot better.
And this is the thing I think we can get frustrated about is the players, like, oh, he shouldn't be playing or they shouldn't be playing or whatnot. What we can't really change as much as that structure. I think that's always going to be driven by the coach. Like, we can't bitch and moan about that. Well, this just seems the way we're playing.
That's the style.
Yeah. That's the way the coach wants to roll. That's where we have to suck it up and do with that.
Yeah. All right, that'll do us for this week.
Cheers.
We'll have the pod out next week, about the same time, actually, because it's Saturday night again.
Is it Saturday night game against Port?
Yes, Saturday night at the Muckager.
Hey, did you hear the news? I'm going to a game this year.
G-Bagger, which one?
I bought tickets.
Where are you going? Which one?
Western Coast.
Oh, God. There you go. Well, if you go to the West Coast game in like 3 months' time, you'll be able to meet Nathan and
not 3 months. It's like 5 weeks.
See the glorious grey beard in all its glory. You were shaving it off, weren't you? You told me.
Nah, I was thinking about it. I didn't get time this weekend. Been quite grumpy with things.
It's not like you.
I don't know how to take that. I think it is very normal of me. So I think that was sarcasm. You didn't pick up on that.
You're still the fun one.
I'm the funny one.
No, fun.
Oh, at home, yeah. Out of the nest of people I lived with, I'm the freaking hilarious one.
I'd argue that. All right, that'll do us. Thanks for tuning in. Wherever you're listening, we appreciate you. And go Dons.
Go Bombers.